you again have already touched upon this, is the nodes. And there seems to be a very distinct story that the BTC people tell themselves about why BTC is superior and it is decentralized because of the nodes. Everybody can run their own node, and so it's decentralized, versus the nodes with BSV, so with the original Bitcoin, is it's a verification mechanism. So the nodes are utilized differently in the BTC hijacked protocol and the original protocol.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, it's an alt. When Litecoin came out and Charlie Lee he created Litecoin and changed the protocol, he rebranded it as Litecoin because it was a different model. That's the same thing that BTC did. They rebranded their model in their way, where they use the nodes, and the nodes don't actually mine blocks. They aren't getting any rewards. It's their protocol with that particular altcoin on how it works, and that's fine. They can do that. That's their right. But what's not fine is using the brand. That's the unacceptable part, is they're using the brand and deceiving the public as to what it is. Yeah, in Bitcoin, the nodes have to actually be getting rewards. You can't just be using a Raspberry Pi and getting no block rewards. You're not actually a node.
Yes, I think that's where the BTC proponents don't understand how the nodes are actually working on BSV. I think the nodes on BSV, like you were saying, they're mining, they're getting rewards, and they're doing the verification, right? There's like 3 different aspects that the nodes are doing, which the nodes on BTC aren't actually doing at all. So it's a different, propaganda.
I mean, picture the man, when you look at the Bitcoin protocol, you got to think of like an actual acorn shell, and an acorn shell has this beautiful interconnected network of shells on top of it. It's all connected. Think of that. That's the Mandela network, and that's what the Bitcoin protocol is doing. So by the time the transaction goes out, these nodes are all interconnected, and they're verifying the transaction, competing for the block reward. That's what makes it peer-to-peer. They're verifying the transaction hasn't been double spent if you're doing an instantaneous verification, and then there's the transactions being sent.
Yeah.
Peer-to-peer without going to another party.
Yeah, and that's why it's so fast.
Well, it's fast. Well, that may not be why it's fast, but that's different. But why it's fast, I actually don't have the technical answer for that, why it's so fast. But I'd have to defer on that one. But I'm just saying that's the process of the verifying the transaction, and what makes it peer-to-peer is this node network that's doing this. Not with the altcoin, on an alt system, they have a different way of doing it, where they have all these nodes, and they're not really nodes, they're just people on a Raspberry Pi. And it's a different type of system that they're using over there. So I don't even know how they do it, but it's not Bitcoin. That's not how Bitcoin works, because Bitcoin's defined in the white paper. Its nodes are there. That's all it is. It gives you a clear set of instructions for what Bitcoin is.
Yeah, I think what I have read now on X, on lots of different people posting different things, where they were saying the nodes are so superior on BTC, Bitcoin, the hijacked one, is because the nodes are all decentralized, and that's what makes Bitcoin, the hijacked one, the BTC, so valuable and important, because it's actually decentralized.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of confusion on the digital gold. If people want to use the digital gold reference, then they got to think, well, what is gold? Gold is money. So gold is something that's transacted with value peer-to-peer that has no fees or cost to it. It's like a cash system. So, okay, well, if you want to say digital gold, then that would be Bitcoin SV, because that's the one that's transacted peer-to-peer, without fees and costs. And the other one can't be gold, because it's not transacted peer-to-peer. It's not transacted peer-to-peer for the most part, and it's also got huge fees on it. That's not a cash system, so It can't be digital gold. If it was digital gold, I would be the first one to identify it and say that is digital gold. Them either way, I'm just like pointing out the networks. It can't be digital gold because it's not cash. It's not a cash system.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy. I mean, digital gold, if it's really supposed to be gold, it has to be peer-to-peer. You can give it to somebody, no fees involved, right? because you're handing a gold
Gold
coin.
is money. Gold is cash. There's no fees on top of sending gold.
Right. Yeah. All right. So did we explain the notes now? Okay. Anyway, anyone who is interested, you can do your own research. Figure out what do the notes do on BSV and what do the notes do on BTC, and compare and understand, and then go to the white paper and look what are the notes supposed to be do according to the original white paper, right? Then you can figure out which Bitcoin is the one that's following the Bitcoin white paper. Now we're going to the wallet issue. Remember on our last video, we said we're going to do a follow-up and help explain about wallets. So here are some new ideas, which
Lots have changed about wallets since then. So yeah.
Yeah. So, but I want to also go back to the very original, initially when the Bitcoin was just created, it was mined, no wallets existed. So where was the Bitcoin stored then? And can we still utilize that same system? Because to me, a wallet is again a third party. We have to trust the app developer.
Exactly.
Have to trust that they are up to date with the, with the improvements. We now have Terranode. We have faster system. So I would much rather not have any wallet and just have my Bitcoin stored on the blockchain or wherever initially Dr. Craig Wright had his stored, and maybe he's still storing it there.
Yeah, well, you don't need a wallet, so you can always just use your original master key, which is the seed. You got the seed phrase and then the master private key to access and move your coins. You don't need a wallet. It just makes it more convenient. That's all. So you don't need a wallet. It just it's very inconvenient to type those long the long master seed phrase on every time you use the coins, or the seed phrase itself and typing it in letter by letter. It can be done. You don't need a wallet to operate. Now, here's the problem though with the wallets in general, is they're centralized. This is a problem that's been plaguing Bitcoin. Since more recently, since it was finally solved. No one had actually taken the time to identify that was a huge problem, that people do like wallets, even though they're not mandatory. People like having them because they're convenient and it's just easier for the everyday person to use. Dr. Craig Wright and others, they don't really care because they're used to using it the old, just by putting in the master seed phrase or however he's going to do it. He doesn't need a wallet, but most people do. And so when you have a wallet, now you've got to be able to have a standard. And so what's the big invention, I guess, since we last talked, was that there's now a standard protocol. It's actually already was out then. I just didn't understand it yet. There's something called the BRC 100 standard. And what that is it's a wallet protocol standard that allows adoption by people coming in and saying, you know what? I don't want another centralized wallet, but I really like using this wallet. And I just want to use it, but I don't want to use it on this, and I can't use it on this. So it's like it becomes a disruption. So by having a standard, now all the wallets are beginning to operate on that standard, which is just a language. It's like saying we're going to use English to communicate, and that's going to be what we're going to use. We're not going to use 50 different languages. We're going to use English so we know what we're saying. Not because, it's not centralized. It's just a way we can communicate, and that's what BRC 100 is. It's a language for the developers to communicate, to where all the wallets, whatever they want to use, people can pick whatever they want, and it works together. Right now, for the most part, they don't work together. If you have one wallet, it won't work with another system, right? So it's right now, that's like a big breakthrough that's happening. And this is just important for adoption, because if you're a brand new person, you're going to need a wallet. It's just too confused. It's more confusing not to,
Thank you. That helps me understand why a wallet would be helpful, because you have your Bitcoin on the blockchain stored. I don't know yet. You're going to have to show me how that would actually work, because I now have some Bitcoin. I bought some through Orange Gateway, and I don't know now what to do with it. It's just stuck there because I don't have a wallet and I don't know how to do anything with it.
It's
never.
kind of like even on Orange Gateway, it is a wallet there. It's like it shows you. It looks kind of like a wallet. You could see what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a similar. It's like kind of a little wallet. Now, it's fine there, or you want to put it somewhere else. Um, a wallet is a convenient device. It's just a convenient thing that we see, so you can read it easily without having to look at the blockchain and look at the machine code. If you don't know how to read machine code, then you look at it and you say, wow, that makes no sense to me. Well, that's my Bitcoin though. It's machine code, wow.
I looked into Edge Wallet because they are located in California, and when I was living there, I met them. Very nice people, and they showed with their Edge Wallet, you don't have to put in the keys. You can come up with your own name, and it's very simple and easy to switch back and forth and to buy. So I understand what you're saying about wallets and why they are helpful for everyday use if we want to purchase and send money back and forth. But you sent me with a text, which I really like.
And that's so easy, so
Yeah.
great. Just text.
Okay, but anyway, I don't know how to do that yet either. So maybe if we have time today, we'll do some tutorials. If not, we'll set up another time and we'll go through some tutorials. You are okay with wallets as long as the interoperable work with the BRC 100 protocol, so it
Well,
can be used everywhere. Do I understand that correctly?
well, here's the thing. So like I'm my objective is I want no centralization or very limited
Yeah.
centralization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole point for me of why I love and am here for Bitcoin. I want to have peer-to-peer transactions. I don't want to rely on the bank or some other company that is going to be in the way to stop
Yeah.
what I'm doing. We've
Yeah.
seen massive amount of people who we all know who have had their lives ruined, shut down because of another party saying, we don't like what you did or we don't like what you said.
Yeah.
Every time we have more centralization, it's just one of those risks again. So that's my objective. So BRC 100 is just a standard. It's not a centralized, it's just a standard that developers can use to have wallets all on
Mm-hmm.
the same standard. Otherwise, one wallet is on another standard, and then that they don't communicate with each other on the apps.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
I made a list of the wallets that I know that deal with particularly with the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, and there is several ones. So there's the Rock wallet. I think that is very well known. There's the Electron SV, I think, and people have noticed that there's some issues with that lately. There is the Centbee wallet, I think, and that also had issues.
yeah,
So to me, that's the problem.
there
Rock
these
people,
are exactly why. Now, if you have issues with the wallet and it's on the same standard, it doesn't matter because now you just say, okay, boom, this
move
wallet
it
then.
to another one. Yeah.
And you don't have to transfer your coins or anything, your key. You just say, oh, I'll just use this wallet instead.
Ah,
But right now, you have it on Centbee. Now you have to go into the machine code and take your coins out that way. It's harder. You may need to hire a consultant to do that because it's not easy to figure out.
yeah. Okay,
You know, doesn't mean you lost things, but it's just harder. It takes training.
yeah, and like me and everybody who is coming in now, I think they're not tech savvy. They're not going to have time to learn any of this. I'm not going to, I don't want to, but need to have systems that are easily explainable and easily used. So this is great news. So maybe what do you use now for a wallet?
Well, I mean, there's handcash is great. It's a great centralized wallet, easy that everybody loves and uses. It's probably the easiest one. I mean, I think they're great, and they're in talks with putting on the BRC 100 standard right now. That's definitely my favorite for sure. Has been for a long time. There's something called Simply Cash, which is it's a cold storage wallet. If a person says, you know what, I just want to put this away into a safety deposit box, and I'm not going to be using this particular amount. There's something called Simply Cash, and it's only for cold storage. So don't think you're going to be using it every day. It's a little harder, but if for the ones you're going to use, what you do is you buy an old iPhone, like an old iPhone 4, whatever, a throwaway one, make it sure it's stripped down and private, and it's not connected to the internet, and then you follow the instructions on the Simply Cash download cold storage instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on Simply Cash. It's a really good cold storage wallet. Everyday use, handcash, Rock Wallet, Orange Gateway. You know, those are, I mean, yours is another wallet. I've never used it, but yours, Dan, the guy who built it, I know he's a good guy. I mean, these wallets are all going into BRC 100 standard, from what I've heard. At least
So I would say pick one afterwards if we have time, but we're ready.
handcash would be the one I would pick.
And that's the one that you're going to do a tutorial on for us that we can follow. Would that be okay?
Yeah, we could do that next time.
I'd like you to show me how I can send with text, because I need to somehow get access to my BSV in Orange Gateway in my wallet that I have there to be able to send money. I want to learn how to do that with the text. I want you to show me where on the blockchain the money is stored. Because remember, we were saying initially Dr. Craig Wright didn't have a wallet. It's just stored on the blockchain. And I would like you to show me where is it found and how is that key? You said there's a master key. Where is that? How do we get it? All of that. That would be really helpful for total newbies to understand kind of the basics.
Yeah. I'd have to bring in you know, an assistant for some of those questions, but we could do that, and that would be a great one, because the master private key, the way it works is in Bitcoin. This is like you've got one master super long private key, and that is your key over everything.
Everything, yeah.
So you have a lot of other like seed phrases and wallets that you're doing on different things. But you have one master private key, and that's the one you put into the safety deposit box. That is the access to everything. Then, you know, but you're not using that every day. You're using it never. You're always holding on to that. That's the master private key. And then you can have all these other, you know, seed phrases and ways to access things on a daily basis where you're not sharing the master private key, but you just start sharing one wallet address. And this is what gives you privacy. So imagine if you have 100 different wallet addresses, all with small amounts on them. Let's say $100 each, and there are 100 wallet addresses, and that you're transacting in those. You know, and that's privacy, because if you did go to court one day, well, there's only $100 on that, so it's not the end of the world. You know, it's not. You're not losing everything. It's private. That's real privacy. But you have your master private key that controls all those.
Yeah, so we're gonna need to have a
You definitely.
tutorial.
This is actually no. It's a good question, because this is actually something that I've been wanting to do a show on with a technical expert on that.
Right.
It is a super fascinating topic that I've been wanting to have an expert on and go through that.
And it's so important for anyone who is getting into this and really is committing. It's like I am really committed in learning about this and using it, and then being an educator of it. So I'm really committed.
That's a really good idea, Margaret, because I've been keep on talking about doing that show, and there's like a handful of people that would be qualified to do that. So I have to set that up with either Greg Ward or Dagan or one of these people, or Babbage, or some of these people that were really expert on exactly how that works for best practices.
That's great. And then we'll have to talk about Orange Gateway, because they just got dropped by Visa and what's happening with that.
Orange Gateway got their merchant account shifted up, but they have. I met with Thor in London, and he's got 4 merchants, which are kind of like a Square or Stripe merchants, where they actually provide the merchant account. There are the merchant account, and they just connect you to it. And they're higher risk, so he should be active soon. I know that he's working on it.
So you did a beautiful tutorial of how to exchange fiat into BSV. There's not very many places where that can happen. And Orange Gateway, the company that's based out of Iceland, is allowing us to do that. And they were just recently when they offered smartphone apps, Visa dropped them. And now when I was trying to get some more BSV with my credit card, I couldn't purchase it anymore. So no credit card purchases as of right now through Orange Gateway. You can send money through wire transfer.
Wire transfer, yeah.
They deposit it in their account, in your account, and then once it's in the account, you can then use it to purchase BSV. But I think really important for the audience to understand, Visa is cutting their own business because they would earn money from the purchases of anybody who uses Visa, right? So they're cutting their own business by not allowing us to purchase Orange Gateway BSV through their platform. So it's amazing how these companies have so much power. They can take away our ability to transfer money, to buy certain things, to support a company.
Yeah, we always find workarounds. So while you're waiting, if you don't want to use a wire system, wire transfer, you could just go and use any other network and just buy USDC. Okay, so USDC is it's the most legit stable coin out there. You can buy USDC on any other system, like Coinbase, Binance, wherever, anywhere you would buy USDC and then transfer to Orange Gateway.
Okay, so this is why I'm not doing that, because I don't want to plug in all of my personal information.
Yeah, you have to, you don't get the benefit of that. No.
Yeah. So if I am a privacy person, which is I am, and I know you are, right? So we are very aware that all of these huge companies are wanting more and more of our private data, our biometric data, our eye scan, our fingerprints, our DNA. And so anyone who is concerned about this overreach has to be aware that these companies, that we are not going to support these companies, or if you're supporting them, then you're bargaining away your biometric data in exchange for convenience. So that's why I looked at that, Gavin, but because initially I never bought Bitcoin because they wanted all of this private data already.
Yeah. Most people aren't going to be affected, that strict on things, but yeah, in a purist form, Orange Gateway, you just have to wait because there's no other way right now to do that without KYC.
Yeah, and by the way, they have their own KYC now too. After we talked, they had, and
there's still ways around it, but you have to go. I'm sure you talked to them. It's more work. Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually explained it to me. He said it's also a protection for us. So we are protected. Like he is gathering this information on his end. And so we can then prove, well, I am that person. I purchased these coins. And at that point, and they are mine. And so he was
exactly.
Me, it is also in a way a protection for us.
It is. That is true. The other and the only other way is to go after the virgin coins. So if you get virgin coins through Gorilla Pool, there's no KYC, and they're totally you'd sign just an example. That would be because you're not buying coins. You're buying ant miners.
Yeah, so I am super privacy concerned. I know you are, but there's people who are not, and so there's these different options. Then I just wanted to bring to the attention that I'm not doing that for these particular reasons. Yeah. And,
you don't like having your iris scanned and your retina scanned everywhere you go. I don't see why. Why? What's the problem? You're so strict, Margaret. Loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why you decided to not promote Senti, right? Because they had to do the same thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, things have changed. But when we object and we stand up, like I started objecting in the airport with those people doing that to my retina scan, and it worked. So you object, and you can actually make progress. You got to object.
Yeah. So there is another cold storage that I'd love you to show us too next time we have this expert on. And that is, let me see, it's called a paper wallet.
Oh,
You
yeah,
store somehow, again, with some kind of a key. So I think that would also be interesting for people because
yeah.
that's also not a third party then. You own it.
I think Dagan was the one that, yeah,
Okay,
that
cool.
would be, I can definitely schedule that.
That sounds great. That sounds great. And I can make a list of the things that we talked
Those would be
about.
great. Yeah. Paper wallet, master key, best practices. Like that would be
Yeah,
an important show. I'd really want to have someone on, an expert on with.
great. That sounds great. Okay. The other thing is all crypto proponents, including BTC, they're saying you have to own your key. If it's not your key, then it's not your Bitcoin or it's not your crypto. And Dr. Craig Wright had just a very cool little article on his X page, and he was writing that, yeah, okay, it's good as long as the fees are manageable because the fees for BTC are going up and up and up. And so once the fees potentially hit $100,000, you you know, how are you going to move your Bitcoin peer to peer? And so, yeah, you may have a Bitcoin in an external wallet with your own key, but depending on the ability to actually get the Bitcoin out according to, whatever level the fees have been elevated to, it may not help you. You may still need to go through some kind of a system that will allow you then to extract your Bitcoin. So I thought that was a really interesting post because, yeah, we hear, have your own key, don't keep your Bitcoin or your crypto on exchanges, but that may in the end also not be really viable.
Yeah, I remember in 2017 when I was really gung ho on Ethereum. It was probably I'd say around early 2017. Ethereum was doing great, and I was really happy. I was using an Ether Delta. It was a decentralized platform. It was truly decentralized, and it was an amazing platform where you could use Ethereum in this way where you're not going onto an exchange. I loved it, and then it all of a sudden I was regularly transacting in Ethereum on a very regular basis, and all of a sudden I couldn't move my Ethereum for under, I don't know, $20, $30, and it started going up, and I just wanted to send a small amount, and it never dawned on me until I experienced that. It just wasn't something I had ever rationalized. But yeah, all of a sudden I saw that what happened was it was not, I could no longer move the Ethereum without paying this huge gas fees for that period of time. And then I realized at that point, that's when I started looking into Bitcoin. I had never even looked into Bitcoin at all. Never
Mm,
researched it until after that. Never
interesting.
even
Yeah,
did
so
any look research at all till I was like, oh, because it was Ethereum was how I got introduced to this.
yeah, you mentioned that last time. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. So anyone who has heard this, it may be okay for a while, but eventually, if the Bitcoin price really gets higher and higher and higher, the fees are going to get higher. The network is going to get jammed more and more.
I mean,
And
yeah, when people are trying to sell and get a mass exit on it, I mean, the fees they go insane.
yeah.
I Yeah, they're not even. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, so having your own keys, having your own wallet, it's good as long as you are actually working with the real Bitcoin.
Yeah, as long as you have the real Bitcoin, then you're fine. Then you can transact in it.
Mentioned about micropayments, or you actually have mentioned having different wallets where you split up your Bitcoins in different wallets as
Yeah.
a privacy security. Dr. Craig Wright, who is the inventor of Bitcoin, he had mentioned, and I will post a link to his X channel. He writes a lot of really good articles on it, so I will post that here. Anyone who doesn't know yet how to
T.S. Tamanaga, the only man who's not allowed to say Satoshi Nakamoto. Rig of all time. The COPA case is the biggest rig of all time. And I would not have said that until Judge Miller ruled in his own disqualification and completely lost jurisdiction. That case is completely voidable judgment. So it is, it's a rig. But that's the real reason. People say it's rigged, but that's the reason. I'm not saying other things. That is the jurisdictional issue. So yeah, he's not allowed to say
I don't know
Satoshi.
what do you mean by that.
Well, when Dr. Wright challenged Judge Miller's qualifications to rule on the case because of the ex parte communication he was having with Mr. Pierce, the attorney on my channel, that he came on and talked to me about, talking about Adam Back, discussing the case, the judge admitted, and Mr. Pierce admitted that they communicated about the case. Clearly, Dr. Wright says, "Hey, that's not fair. You guys are talking about my case with each other without me. Like, I want a new judge." That's only, I mean, that's common. Yeah, of course. You can't do that, Judge, but not in this court. Judge Miller, he said he can do that. And then when he challenged him and Judge Miller ruled on it and said, "No, I don't need to, don't worry about it. What we talked about wasn't important. It didn't affect anything. We were only talking about Adam Back and some other things. We weren't talking about you, Dr. Wright. Don't worry about it." It's like, doesn't matter. So that's just it's avoidable judgment.
All right. So maybe since we brought it up, it's not something that I have listed on my questionnaire here, but why don't you just briefly let people know what court case are you talking about? Because it happened 2 years ago, right? In 23, 24, 23.
Well, yeah, there was a culmination of all this litigation that had been accumulating. And so what happened is that Jack Dorsey, and his company, which is Square, and they're working on Lightning Network, are doing these sidechain projects. His attorneys ran into problems with patents and objections on patents. And while they're trying to do their projects. And so with that, they realized that they were potentially overstepping patents. And it all led back to one creator, this one guy, the creator of all these patents, which was Dr. Craig Wright. So with that, he contacted, Zuckerberg, and he contacted his other pals in Silicon Valley, and he's like, we need to build a patent alliance, because all you people like Meta, you're trying to do this blockchain thing. Well, you also got patent problems with patents. We need to share let's share our patents, and we'll call ourselves COPA, the open patents, because our patents are all late to the game. They came way later, and they don't really matter at this point. So we'll just share all our patents, and we'll attack and we'll sue this one guy over here with all the patents. And so that's how COPA really started, and it culminated with the copyright case over the white paper that he had, and the identity case, and then the cross complaint that Dr. Wright filed, and it all centered around the identity case, which was the 4 elements of that COPA wanted to determine that Dr. Wright wasn't Satoshi Nakamoto. He didn't author the white paper. He didn't create the Bitcoin system, and he didn't. He wasn't the inventor. That's ultimately what they wanted declared. And they were successful at getting that done at the 4 days at the 2-3 weeks of trial. I think it was a 22-day trial. And I was calling it while it was happening. Did a ton of videos on it. I should probably. It's a really important historical thing that happened, and I was calling it live as it was happening. And one of the things I knew that was problematic, and I called this out to everybody as it was happening. I said, Dr. Wright's expert witnesses were compromised. He had been a victim of corporate espionage, and I'm not just saying this as a legal conclusion. Christian Eger Hansen was found guilty in the UK of crime. He's been convicted, and he created espionage. He infiltrated nChain, and removed papers, documents, hijacked the company as a CEO. And recorded calls and shared this stuff on the internet, and so that was the problem of the whole, basically. So what happened is that at the COPA case, Eger Hansen was in charge of Dr. Wright's case. That's how bad this was. So the espionage was so deep that Eger Hansen was managing Dr. Wright's case. Sure, Dr. Wright should have done a better job at not letting Eger Hansen, the fox in the hen house, but it happened. So he's over there. The experts that he hires were compromised. So meaning that when Madden, who's writing the report for COPA, and what he does is Madden, his job was to review the white paper. So it was all about the white paper. Like he wants to take the white paper and look at it in a certain way. And let's see who wrote this and see if there's any messages in it. And the instructions from Dr. Wright was you got to log in to the live system online, and then you'll be able to read through and navigate it. That was the instructions. Madden writes his report all offline. So the report that he wrote was not connected to the internet when he did an analysis on the white paper. This is in trial. And then when Dr. Wright saying at trial, he's like, wait a second, everything Madden did, he wasn't connected to the internet. You have to connect to the internet to do an analysis on the software for the white paper. Otherwise, you're using some outdated thing, and of course it's not going to work. He kept saying it didn't work in his report. Dr. Wright's expert was compromised, and all he did was agree with everything Madden said. So once that happened, in a way, the case was pretty much over at that point because he had no rebuttal witness. So everything Dr. Wright's saying, while it was true, he can't be considered an expert because he's not neutral. He's a party. So it was a problematic from right on that forward. But that right there was, it's an important piece of history. But I'll tell you the funny thing is that the strategy overall. A lot of people will tell you now that I think that it was a win-win situation for Dr. Wright either way. Overall, financially, he benefited more by losing the case. Yeah, well, he received a lot more benefit by losing the case than winning. His ego was hurt by losing the case.
Well, I also think just by losing the case, it brought so much attention to the tactics of this core Bitcoin core people, right? We really saw to what degree they are trying to hijack, just like it was with COVID. The people who were honest and had integrity, and the doctors who were really doing good work for the people in the community, they were imprisoned. They were, called.
Is Dr. McCullough ever okay? I haven't followed up. Is he okay? Have you followed him?
I haven't either. I think he has his own.
He was a victim. He was one of the most outspoken.
His website was also taken down. Not only lose his access to Chase banking, but also his website. He wasn't allowed to post anything on his website anymore. Anyway, I'm just saying we saw the same playbook that was going on with COVID. And this is what we talked in our first call. Anybody who is interested should listen to our first interview. We went into quite a depth, me, my history, and you, your history. We really gave a good analysis of what's going on. But it's like we are learning now the techniques of these thugs, the way they are silencing people and hijacking information. And, we have to understand. That's why we need Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is the way out. That's the whole reason. That's what makes it so disruptive, is because it takes away the power of money.
Yeah.
It takes away their power of money. They no longer can control us because they cannot stop us from transacting.
But not just money. Also, we are able to post on websites where it cannot be taken down. You showed us the tree chat.
Yeah, tree chat. You can post on chain.
So it's not just our money.
And that's going to be true Web3, not just money, right? So that's the other thing that we're evolving in right now. So now we're on this first 16 years of Bitcoin, 17 years of Bitcoin have been mostly all about the coin side, the second side. Now we're going into the bit side. There's bit and coin. Preview for that for next time.
The preview that you just mentioned is Bitcoin initially was a peer-to-peer digital cash system. And it's now also, we are recognizing or learning that it can be used as the base layer of the entire internet, where apps are being developed, like on the smartphone, where you can utilize different apps to do certain things. And that can and will run on the Bitcoin network. And that's just a whole other fascinating subject we'll talk about next time. Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's the real business opportunity side.
Okay.
That's going to be the business opportunity side for everyone who's an entrepreneur, who wants to start a business, who really wants to, make a lot of money on this. That's going to be where it's going to come from. And we can talk about that next time. So stay tuned and we'll preview how that will work and where people can really get super mega rich on this.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not on price speculation, but on the real business opportunity.
On building a business, and that of course is what we all really are about. We don't
And
want.
even if not building a business, because I don't see myself necessarily building a business, but what I do see myself doing is like maybe like a consulting role where I'm referring the guys who know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. So that's what we'll talk about next time. How is this new technology can be used in the present and near future to help people transfer all of our, the technology that has stolen basically everything that we have uploaded on the internet and veer it over into a private system where we take control over everything again that we own. Yeah. That you had mentioned before about the different wallets, Dr. Craig Wright was also saying about micropayments. So when you send money, and I guess wallets are able to do that, where you don't send the full amount, you send micropayments. It's another way of being secure and private. Do you know what he's talking about? And that's another thing that I'd like you to show us in the tutorial next time. How
Definitely.
is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. We could talk about that next time. But as a preview, what he's talking about is that you have your very small amounts in your wallets and you control it with one master key. One
Okay.
master private key with a lot of different wallet addresses with small amounts that you transact on.
Okay. Okay. But you show it to us because I can't
I'll have
imagine
to
what.
have an expert show us for sure. Yeah.
Perfect. I do want to say one more thing about Jack Dorsey. First of all, I didn't know Jack Dorsey, who was the original developer of Twitter, right? He owned Twitter before it was sold to Musk. You said he is now the owner of Square?
Yeah.
I, I didn't know that. I see.
Square, Lightning Network, COPA,
Okay. So I do know that,
BTC proponent. It
yeah.
most of the BTC you could pretty much attribute to like Jack Dorsey as one of the masterminds over the BTC.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know that he, from research I've done, he contributes 60% of the entire money that goes into BTC development and whatever
Yeah.
else doing there. He contributes 60% or more, which means he is a major proponent of the BTC network. And he just recently posted somewhere, I don't know, but I saw it on X, that he was saying the Bitcoin white paper reads like poetry. So what's up? Are these people who are the BTC proponents suddenly recognizing they have jumped on the wrong horse? Or are they trying to renegotiate their Bitcoin protocol to make it more, the BTC protocol, to make it more like Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin? Have you heard that quote that he was saying that?
I haven't heard that quote, but what's happening is that one of the guys from the big block side, Scrypt, he he was the one that actually developed the smart contract language on Bitcoin as a student under Dr. Craig Wright, and he shifted over to working with the BTC people and lobbying that they enable opcodes, specifically one called opcat. And with that, it's created a lot of contention for people like Jack Dorsey to now saying, wow, you mean Bitcoin can do all these other things? It reads so beautifully now. They're beginning to realize that it's so much more than what they thought. And it
Yeah,
completely destroys their narrative.
yeah, I mean, that was quite something. He says the Bitcoin white paper, which is what, of course, the Bitcoin SV is all about. That one, the one we have been talking about for this last hour. He suddenly, the one who is saying Bitcoin digital gold is the one that you have to invest in, is saying, oh my goodness, this Bitcoin white paper reads like poetry.
This old white paper, it's poetry.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, are they able to switch back and then claim whatever BSV is
Well,
able
they
to
could
do?
enable all the opcodes, if they were to get rid of all the core developers. Those core developers are never going to do that. But yeah, if they were to somehow have a coup, it's possible. They'd have to enable all the opcodes.
Yeah, but why wouldn't they do that if it would make it actually a workable coin afterwards?
It's going to be philosophical and political in nature. Why?
I see.
Why wouldn't the Democrats all, stop trying to get a communist into office? I mean, it's it's political and it's philosophical in nature. You can't really explain why they do that, you know?
I just thought that comment was quite fascinating by somebody who has developed, who has spent all of this time and energy and was, big in that court against Dr. Craig Wright, right? So it's
Yeah, he
amazing
was
that,
the head proponent of COPA.
yeah, right. So it's amazing to realize he's coming up with these statements almost like he's either lying to us that he didn't know what Bitcoin is supposed to be really about, which seems very odd, somebody who is so technically inclined, or he is trying to do a 180 and get that, fake Bitcoin into a real one, make it work like a real one.
I
Who
doubt it. It's his whole business model is around off-chain networks. So he needs people to be working off-chain to make money.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he would make less money if they did that. It would affect his business.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I wanted to close with that because I thought that was really fascinating. The one person who is spending more than 50% of money going into this Bitcoin core, the digital gold, that is really you were calling it a cray coin, or what did you
The
call
Greg
it?
coin, yeah.
A, a
And never forget that Jack Dorsey was cooed out of Twitter after for constitutional violations. I mean, he wasn't just voluntarily left. I mean, he was that was an absolute coup over there. They had to get him out on, and there was a lot more behind the scenes going on than people are not aware of as to why he had to leave.
yeah. Yeah, interesting. I mean, that's one of the aspects that everybody has to really recognize, that we look up to certain people as, these are so wonderful, they're the billionaires and they are so highly evolved, or whatever we want to attribute to them. And yet, what's really going on, they're thugs, a lot of them. And we should not be hailing and kneeling down in front of them and think they're so wonderful. We should really understand what's going on behind the scenes and what is driving all of this propaganda that's pushing us in these various directions. Twitter,
Verify everything. Trust no one.
yeah,
Don't verify all this information we talked about today.
yeah, exactly. Don't trust us either.
Yeah,
Your research.
exactly. Got to
Yeah,
verify everything. Do your, if you figure this out on your own, come to your own conclusions, you're going to really be have an awakening. Well,
yeah.
thank you very much, Margaret. Let's cut it there. We'll do it again, and I'll we'll look for a preview for the next show to talk about the bit side of
All right.
Bitcoin and the real opportunity, and then also we'll talk about potentially the wallet infrastructure and best practices.
Yeah, that sounds great. And tutorials that we then can
Yeah.
follow. One wallet, I think you said handcash you like.
Handcash, Simply Cash, or
Yeah.
and also just best practices on use case.
Yeah, and there's a new wallet out that sounds really interesting. It's from a guy in the Philippines or New Zealand. I'm not sure exactly where he's at, but it's called Gateway Wallet. And the woman that you have on your X feed sometimes, she has talked to this guy before and also really likes it. And he built a website that's now running totally on Bitcoin on the
Hmm.
protocol. And so it's no longer using any servers. So it sounds
Oh,
interesting what he's doing. And maybe, I don't know if, I think Casey, is that her name?
yeah.
Maybe she can get in contact with him and get some more information on
Yeah,
this.
we'll bring Casey on the next time as well on here with us, and we'll have her on here to discuss that.
Okay, that sounds great. All
All right,
right.
thank you, Margaret. I'm
Thank you.
gonna cut
Okay,
it there.
sounds good.
All right, see you at the top.